I noticed that they all have x's, and so I decided to factor out the greatest common factor, which is a single x. So I factor out the x from here. And again, factoring is the opposite of the distributive property. So if I'm going to multiply x times something here to give me 3x cubed, it's as if I'm dividing to figure out that missing factor. So my missing factor ends up being 3x squared, because x times 3x squared is 3x cubed. If I factor out the x from here, that leaves me with 17 with a single x. And then I factor out the x from here, and that leaves me with a 20. Okay, so again, I need to somehow use the zero product property with, or maybe even quadratic formula. So I decided, okay, let me try factoring it normally, because sometimes if factoring doesn't work, then we have to do quadratic formula. So I decided to factor this, like the way we learned it in Algebra 1. So what you do is, because you have a first term here, you multiply this number to the last term. Because you always want to make sure there's a 1 here. If there's not a 1, we're going to get rid of it for a minute. We're going to get rid of it for just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the 3 to the 20, and that gives me 60. So this equation becomes x squared plus 17x plus 60. So now I need to factor this out. Find factors of 60 that I can add to get 17. And that's what I listed over here. And the factors of 60 that you can add to get 17 are 5 and 12. So I'm going to break this down, and I'm going to go x times x. I'm going to go 5 times 12. Signs have to be the same. They both have to be positive. Now, that 3 that I circled at the very beginning, I didn't eliminate it. All I did was I multiplied it to the 20, and I put it in here. So the 3 is in the 60, which means it's in here. The 3 is in the product of 5 and 12 give me 60. Therefore, the 3 is in here, which needs to come back out now. So the way you're going to do that is, if I multiplied here, now I'm going to divide. Okay, now, if your fraction can be simplified, such as this one, 12 divided by 3 gives me 4, then I'm going to do that. So I'm going to have x plus 4 here. If it cannot be simplified, 5 divided by 3 cannot be simplified. That's as low as it can go. You don't want to leave this term as a fraction, so what you do is you put the 3 with the x, and then you bring down the 5. And this, if you multiply it all out, do FOIL method on this, it's going to give you that. So now I'm done factoring. I bring down the x. Now I can use the zero product property, where x equals 0. 3x plus 5 equals 0, and then x plus 4 equals to 0. And then you solve. And that's where this is at.